Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Into the Light Spotlight podcast in collaboration with students from Durham Sixth Form Centre. I am Alex Guy, a theatre blogger, and today I am joined with Debbie Todd, a photographer. Hello, how are you?
Hi Alex, I'm good, thanks, how are you?
So tell me a little bit about what you do in your day-to-day life.
So I'm a social engaged photographer, which means I photograph a lot of people who are marginalised or don't get photographed as much as they should really. I do that kind of on a part-time basis at the minute. I'm a freelancer, but I also have a day job as well because it's difficult to try and live the high life that I like to live.
Why do you aim to promote those underrepresented, those marginalised communities within your work? Why do you think that's like a beneficial thing to promote?
I just feel like everybody should be seen, and I feel like there's a lot of people who don't get any exposure, which can make them feel like they're not a valid part of the community. It also, they lead to being stigmatised, and it leads to people, if you don't see everyone around you, then when you do see someone that you're not used to seeing, it's kind of like, oh, you don't feel comfortable inviting them into your space. So I just think everyone should be visible, I think it's really important, especially now, and things are getting better, but like there's such a massive variety of people from all different cultures are out there that still are not represented. We still have that, especially in fashion and stuff, we still have that, pretty skinny blonde girl kind of thing, where we need to be just more representative of people in the world, really.
And has the photography side of things been something that you've always wanted to do and always been passionate about?
Yeah, so I loved art when I was younger, but I didn't actually go to uni until I was 38. So I was a mature student. I always wanted to do photography, loved it, but from a working class background, I kind of had to I went to college for 2 years and I just got a job, started living in a rented property and just didn't have that opportunity. Like, I didn't even know what university was when I was growing up. It was just something never ever mentioned. So yeah, I kind of did, but then I kind of put it off because of money, really, because I knew I'd never be in the position to be able to support myself to go to uni until I was a lot older. I met my husband and we're a lot more stable, so I could then go out and do it.
How was the experience of being a mature student?
Yes, it was fine. Like, I think being a mature student, like, because I'm an adult, I know there's a lot of people who are very mature anyway. I think being in that position, I really enjoyed it because I just focused on myself. I was in a different position to a lot of people, because some people, really enjoyed that student experience, where I more enjoyed the learning experience. So I was more interested in myself and my progress rather than the going out and getting smashed or whatever students do. Sorry, I don't want to generalise on people.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, so I think I really valued it a lot more, and I think the benefit of being a mature student, for me, I could never have done it when I was younger, because I think I would have wasted it, because I'm not like an academic person, so it took a lot for me to actually take that step into education and actually engage with it. I had to work really hard, which when I was younger, I don't think I would have had the motivation to do that. I think, like, credit to anyone who goes to uni when they're young, because I just think it's a lot to take on. It's a very difficult thing.
It's stressful, but it's you're there for a reason, and you're there to sort of, get the job you want to get in life, and it's sort of...
No, definitely. And I think education, like, so many people have said to me, like, while I've been studying before, like, oh, you don't need to, you can just learn it yourself. Why do you, it's only a piece of paper, why would you want to do it? And I'm like, I think the people that say that are the people that have never actually done it, because for me it was such a different world. To be able to, so grown up, coming from a working class background, I didn't like going to events, I didn't like going anywhere where there was people kind of above my pay grade. I was so terrified and embarrassed in case someone asked me a question that I didn't understand. Something simple, like, I probably didn't even know who, like, the Prime Minister was. I didn't, politics, I didn't even know what that meant. So I was so scared, if I was to go somewhere and someone would say, what do you think of this artwork? That's all right. And how do I do that? Like, there's no critical thinking, at school and stuff. So to be able to go to uni and to have a valid opinion, and so now to be able to talk about something and someone say, oh, that's crap, and me say, oh, well, why? And have a discussion and give my input, rather than just be like, yeah, it's crap, isn't it? To understand, that there's more to it than just looking at a piece of art. So I think that was like really, really important, really beneficial, like, you know, like, and because it's absolutely not having the qualification. It's absolutely not. So I don't believe that me going for a job now, having this qualification, makes me any better than anyone else who's self-taught or trained in a different way. I just think that I've got a lot from it, from my own personal development. So I feel confident now that I can put my work up on a wall and I can say, yes, it's ethical, and yes, it's well composed, and it's all of these things. And yes, people will come and say, I don't like this, or you could have done this better. I could have, but it's my choice. You know, that's something that I've learned, that I can stand up and talk about my work and other people's work and say what is good about it. And yeah.
So it seems like uni's had a big, massive effect on sort of the way you view your work and the way that your work, like the way you see your, if that makes sense, like the way you see your work and the way your work has been produced, like since you've left uni.
Absolutely. I mean, I studied for 5 years, so I hope I've learned something in that time. But also, like, so I remember I was probably in my 3.5 years, and I remember my tutor saying to me, you need to develop your style. And I never really understood what that was, and I found it really hard because I was like trying so hard. What do I need to do? Do I need to shoot on an angle? Do I need to make the light darker? What, like, how do I develop my own style? You know, they're saying someone needs to look at your work and say, oh, I know who's took that picture. And I was like, that will never happen. And I think I was kind of like overthinking it and trying to make it happen, but in time it did happen. And even now, like, so some people, you know, that know me will say, oh, I saw your picture the other day and I knew it was yours before I saw who did it, which is really nice. You know, like, or I've been out with someone and they've said, oh, I saw your picture. You know, like, I think that's something that comes, like, yeah, you can get it with just learning yourself, you can get everything, but I think, like, when you go to uni, you're exposed to so many more artists and creatives, you're hearing other people's opinions. It really does make you think and, like, evaluate things a bit more, rather than just being, I like that, I don't like it. You know, I just think it's so important. Like, not so much the mundane skills, and maybe not even, because to be honest, I don't think I really learned much technical stuff as such. I think it just gave me the space to breathe, be myself, and the importance as well to say, you know, people looking at your work, because it's important. Like, if I hadn't gone to uni, I don't think I would have put my work out anywhere. I don't think anyone would have actually seen it, other than, like, maybe Instagram or whatever. But I probably wouldn't have put it up there because I would have thought it was crap, because I didn't have that confidence in myself.
Yeah, it's uni's a big, massive thing, because it sort of impacts the way you see yourself and, like, the confidence that you gain from yourself. Like, for me, I've got to uni, I've done these incredible things in September, and I've gone, God, I am actually good at this, and God, I can actually do this, when I wouldn't have thought I could have done it before I actually went to uni. Absolutely,
and it also gives you a platform. So, like, for me, and even now, so I finished uni, when I was at uni, you know, there was, you were given something to do. Here's a task, and you do it, and then, like, here's another task. And so you're creating work, you're displaying work, you're entering competitions. There's no way if I would just go and do that if I didn't have someone telling me how to do it, if I didn't have the challenge of getting marked. I love that. I was very competitive, so I loved to get, like, I've got, like, a first class honours degree, and my masters I got, like, I don't know what's the highest you can get, like a, I don't know, distinctions. I got, like, a distinction. So, like, I was really aiming high, because, you know, I get a lot out of that. I like the success, I like the reward of getting, like, a good mark. So I think without uni, I wouldn't have been just getting up one day, I know, I'm going to create an exhibition now, so I'm going to do it over 7 weeks, and I'm going to, do you know what I mean, and print it massive, and I'm going to hire somewhere and invite lots of people. Like, I would never have done that without education. So I think that made it important. Plus, it gives you a good starting point, because then you're creating work, you're displaying it, you know, so then when you do approach someone, you can say, I've done this, can I do something similar for you, you know?
Do you think there's a stigma then of, like, the Northeast especially, and people being from the Northeast who are wanting to go into these creative backgrounds, who are sort of, like, put down because they're like, I don't think I can do that, because I've not seen any other people in the Northeast doing those sort of things?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm from Stanley, and like, you know, growing up in Stanley, I didn't know any artists. Like, I didn't know that art was everywhere. I didn't know that everything you touched, looked at, was designed by someone, made by someone, that this is art. Do you know, I was told that artists don't make any money. You'll have to live on the streets, you'll be homeless because you can't afford anything if you're an artist. Like, I feel if I'd seen more artists, if there was art clubs, if there was people around, you know, local to me, you know, if there was someone I could go and talk to, but I never had that. So, like, I didn't start studying until I was 38, because I just never had the confidence. It wasn't until my son went to seniors that I thought, I'm going to show him that you can do something, you know, even if you're older. You know, like, I wanted to inspire him to go to university or to study and not necessarily make a ton of money or be really good at something, but just do something you're passionate about.
How are you involved with Into the Light then?
So I was given a commission, and it was a seed commission through No More Nout, and that was funded by Into the Light. So I did a small project. I think I can't. There was a time scale. I don't know, say 12 weeks or something. And I actually went. Talking about being from a working class background, I just kind of stayed in my community and I photographed things that I grew up, that were surrounding me when I grew up, that had kind of dying out. So I did like pigeon fanciers, who like raise pigeons. I did leek competitions, so people who grow leeks and people who grow flowers. I did greyhound racing as well, which has actually just been banned in Scotland this week. So it's kind of definitely something people turn up to stadiums and protest because I think it's cruel. So like, I just wanted to kind of immortalise that and the feelings of nostalgia of being a little girl. And like, we had greyhounds, you know, when I was little, so we used to go to the track every Sunday. Those exciting feelings, you know, of just everyday life, isn't it? So I just really wanted that nostalgia and to create a memory and to kind of inspire people as well, because these things are dying out. People agree with some, people disagree, but I think it's still a tradition that needs to be just like discussed, and people, you know, if people are interested in keeping it going, like the pigeon racing, like a lot of the clubs are closed now. They don't have hardly any members. You know, kids are not wanting to do it. They want to play on the computer. They want people more interested in, dare I say it, social media and stuff than spending like 8 hours, you know, cleaning out pigeons and feeding them and stuff. Times have just changed massively, haven't they? We're not spending as much time outside in the fresh air. And it's such a great thing though as well for people's mental health, and that to be doing stuff that isn't necessarily sat in the house on your phone all the time. So so I was just really interested in that. So I did that, and I did a small exhibition in a community centre called The Venue in Stanley, and a few people did come, a few people kind of wandered in, but mostly it was for the people. I photographed some, what do you call it? Lawn bowls, bowlers. I don't know if they've got a proper name. They probably do.
Probably, but I don't know.
But I did them, so I did a big display. But for me, it was more important about people seeing themselves as well and being represented. So I did that. So that was really nice. And that was my involvement.
Is that a big thing for you, for people to sort of see themselves in your art and like inspire the next generation of like Northeast artists? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I photograph a lot of, not by choice, but a lot of my projects have been about children and young people. And I think I've got an exhibition at the minute at Bishop Auckland Town Hall, and there's all kinds of people in there. It's called The Meaning of Being Different, and it's basically a kind of display of people of all ages with all kinds of physical differences, some of them are neurological differences, but it's kind of just to show that we're not all the same. So I've got that on display, but I also have 44 children of young people with Down syndrome on display. And the most important bit of that, you know, is for me, is having the opening, inviting all their families, inviting those children, you know, their faces when they're screaming, pointing at themselves, seeing their friends, you know, they're laughing, having a photo taken with that picture. It's really important for them to be represented and see themselves and people like them. I had some feedback as well from Bishop Auckland Town Hall, and they said that they had a young woman who came in who was autistic, who looked at the pictures and was crying, saying, I can't believe I'm seeing people like me. She really resonated and felt like seen, because there was other people like that, and they're celebrated. They're all in big gold frames on the wall, like works of art. They're meant to be look like fine art paintings. And she was just so proud that, you know, she deserves to be on a wall somewhere, you know. It's really, really cool.
I guess Do you think art and culture holds a really important place in sort of society?
Oh, absolutely. I think like we were just saying there about, being able to connect and engage and see people like yourself, or to even have like those feelings, to be inspired, to, even just to pick someone up if someone's having a really bad day, they might see something that makes them think, a piece of art. I think, like we were saying before about mental health, doing art is like proven, isn't it, to be great for people's mental health, people who are experiencing trauma. I work in a residential home, young people under 18, and just doing some art helps people open up, helps people, just be a bit calmer. I think it's just such an important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as well, like you're saying, to do something for you,
Yeah.
like a lot of people don't create art for other people, they do it for themselves,
Yeah.
and then that byproduct can inspire other people, can't
Yeah.
it? So
Have there been any moments like in your career so far that have sort of stayed with you and stood out for you?
oh, tons. I mean, so the work that I do, like I was saying, is kind of socially engaged. So
Yeah.
most of the people that I work with have had, amazing, happy stories, but also really traumatic, horrible stories. So I've worked with people who've since passed away. I've had people who've had really horrible things said to them, who've been bullied, who've been abused, beaten up. Like there's some really traumatic stuff. I also volunteer for a charity called Remember My Baby, and I photograph babies who were born sleeping for their families. So like stuff like that, yeah, that's really memorable, because I just think, we can use art in such a positive way that that's something amazing, a gift that we can give that can never be replaced, like we can never have that again. So I think like probably those kind of things, but all the stories, like I wish I could just tell them all to everyone, but I can't, like I try and take photos, but I think, yeah, just being able to represent people and try and sometimes change people's ideas, because there's so many people living there with stigma, who were just born into a certain culture, or born with a disability or something that makes them a bit different, and they have to put up with the way society sometimes treats them.
Yeah.
So I think, and I always say this, I love the photography and I love having a great image at the end, but it's what I learn and the stories that I get told are definitely the best part of it. Like I feel really, really lucky, really like honoured that people share their stories with me, and you learn so much from other people.
Have you ever had a reaction from a piece of art from an onlooker that has sort of stayed with you?
So not really as such, and I mean, art is for people to make their own judgment and opinion about. I think if people don't like something, great. If they love it, great, something that didn't quite shock me, because I see stuff, I post a lot of stuff on social media, and people can be cruel, write awful things. I tend to just hide them and just move on, not give them the time. But my exhibition at Bishop Auckland had a few comments saying that it shouldn't be in a space that, so it's in a shared space, so it's in the library. So originally, when I was commissioned to do the work, it was a gallery space, but then they put the library in that gallery, so we just put the work up around it. So there was 2 comments actually at the moment saying that it's not suitable for children. So like, that comment threw me a bit, because I'm like, the human beings, they're just people, like there's nothing, one of them said, the grandchild wouldn't be able to sleep at night because they'd seen these photos of these people who, so some people don't have hands. There's a woman who's she's actually holding some sausages to represent a stomach, because she has a stoma bag. There's a guy who lost his eye, so he doesn't have an eye. But these are real people that we could pass in the street, and like, why? Like I don't understand why, instead of being like, oh, don't look, and worrying about your child, why not have that discussion and say, yes, oh, I wonder what happened to them. That it's nothing to be scared of. Sometimes you could have an accident and lose a finger or an eye or a foot, or or you could be born without bones in your face. Like why are we not teaching and learning from these pictures, rather than kind of condemning them and saying, oh, don't look, and telling, oh, those pictures are like horrific. They're not horrific, they're people, they're human beings. And I think that's what sticks with me. I think sometimes people being so judgmental and not like interacting with them, and the whole point of their work is that people see these beautiful humans, they're beautiful portraits. There's not one that is like weird, or they're dark and they're subdued, but their light's gorgeous, and they're just really nice faces. I think you know, to look at them and feel a bit, feel upset about them, or feel, I think that there's some kind of like learning needs to be done. You know, you should be accepting everyone for who they are, shouldn't you, really? Like, so yeah, that always throws me a bit, because I'm like, it's not like we've put makeup on, used prosthetics, you know, these are people, and they're holding something, you know, to represent their condition or what makes them different from other people. So I think always that sticks with me, and I think that's what compels me to create the work, that I really just like the work that I do. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to get commissions, and I've had a couple, but I have to work full time to pay for it. A lot of the time I'm working and using my wages, you know, to go places, to do stuff, to print, to create work, because I just feel compelled to do it. Like, I don't need any reward other than hoping that I'm making a little bit of a difference in the community, you know.
So you juggle photography, work, and then volunteering. How is that for you?
Tiring. But no, I'm a machine. Like, so anyone that knows me, I don't stop. I don't sleep a lot, really. You know, I'm constantly thinking. I've got a million ideas. I go a million miles an hour. I never stop talking. I love to interact with people, and I'm just kind of really driven person. So obviously sometimes you do get a bit burnout and stuff, and sometimes I can feel a bit tired because I'm doing too much. But I think just like loving what I do, loving my job, loving the work that I'm creating, constantly just keeps me pushing forward.
Where do you think that drivenness comes from? Is it like a family thing?
I don't think so. I think it comes from like starting so late, because so like I was 38 when I started it, and it's not like I think, oh, I'm running out of time. You know, there's a lot of people who start their careers later, and especially artists and stuff. I think I've I must feel like I've got time to make up. I feel like I've got a million ideas, and I just want to do it all now. So maybe a little ADHD in there helps push us forward.
So have you got any plans for the future, like for future exhibitions and stuff?
Yes, I mean, I would love to do more stuff. You know, I think like I say, being a student, a bit older, I've kind of been a bit slower in like starting my career, but I'm working on stuff all of the time. Like, I've got trips planned. I'm trying to think if I've got anything actually coming up. Like, oh yeah, I think I'm working on something at the minute. So I just did it. I'm doing a long-term project called The Call, and I've entered that into a couple of things, and I had it on show at TVNC, which is in the Arc in Stockton. So it was just a one-night thing, but I'm actually exhibiting that as well. So it's going on show at Hartlepool Art Gallery, and I think that's kind of in April. And then, yeah, just what I'm looking for, like, I want it to be a career. I want to be doing it full time, you know. And what I'm looking for really is to connect with charities and companies who want to create like advertising campaigns using like real people's lived experience. So, you know, for example, Specsavers, to actually use someone who's blind or partially sighted, who isn't a model, you know, who's just a normal person that you work with, or you walk down the street, or who could have Down syndrome or whatever, you know, working with charities like that, or like blind, or the Core project is about organ donation. So to work with like the British Heart Foundation and do a, you know, like a campaign, fundraising campaign, but using children, you know, who have had a like a heart transplant, like that's my ultimate aim. Like, I would love to do that, but until now I'm happy just doing what I can do. I feel really privileged that I'm able to, you know, I have a studio at Usher Historic House, and because of the support of my husband, I'm lucky. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I drag him all over. I love working with the travelling community, so we'll go to Appleby, we'll go to horse drives, horse fairs, and I just feel really lucky to do that, because I absolutely love it. Like I was saying before, I love taking the photos, I love having great images, I love having success. I had an image from Appleby. It was in the Portrait of Britain. It was shortlisted, and it's in a beautiful book because it's a really like prestigious photography competition. And I love that, but I just enjoy the going out doing it. There's nothing better, the excitement, going out and chatting to people, meeting amazing people, and then the excitement getting home and seeing the images and sharing them like with the world. Like that's like payment for me.
It's the experiences as well that you gain along the way, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Like I said before, all the stories, isn't it? And all those memories, all those, you know, the images, they all have a story, you know.
Yeah. So finally, is art, like the art that you do, do you think that other artists are not technically, I don't know if afraid's the right word, but like to break that boundary and to actually show these things that the world sort of needs to sort of acclimatise to, because everyone should just be accepted? That question makes no sense, but do you know what I mean?
Do you want to rephrase it, or do you want us just to take what I think from that?
Just take what you think from that, because I don't know how to rephrase that.
No, so I think and I didn't actually realise at the time, so when I started creating work and I did the call project that I was talking about, and then somebody had kind of like posted something saying, oh, Debbie's breaking the taboo about talking about the death of children, and I'm like, am I? And I'm like, do we not? And no, we don't talk about it. We don't say what would happen if my child passed away. Could we save the life of another child and leave that lasting legacy? We don't. Do you know why? Because we're scared. You know, we're not thinking about it, so we don't. And then if something did happen, we've never had that conversation. So then we're like, no, we don't know. We don't know what to do. So I think people should be more open. I know, like, there's a lot of, isn't it, like buzzwords like triggered, isn't it? You know, and we're scared, aren't we? We're scared to upset people and we're scared to worry people. But this is other people's real lives. Children in hospital, I think there's like, the waiting list, I think, is nearly 300 children, you know, sat on hospital wards in organ failure, waiting when there's opportunities being missed that the parents, if they had, you know, seen a project like The Call and seen all the children waiting, maybe they would have had a different outcome. It's so important. It's so important, like, for people to be seen and represented. It's so important for people to see themselves and fear and to give them self-esteem and know that they're a pretty awesome, special person, no matter how they look or how they act or how they feel, you know. I just think it is so important to break these taboos and Yeah,
well, that's really, really cool that that's sort of what you aim to sort of portray in your art. And thank you so much for joining me today. And that has been this week's episode of Into the Light. Into the Light is a place-based partnership with organisations across County Durham. It's funded by Arts Council England, Durham County Council, Durham University and the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. The Spotlight podcast is produced in partnership with Durham Sixth Form Centre.